Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Our next story is an absolute ride because what starts as a simple request for help turns into full-blown harassment and some family guilt-tripping. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Uncle tried to get me to do his company accounts because I owed him a favor from a while back. So I work in finance. I'm a qualified chartered accountant, but operate exclusively in corporate finance, which is not entirely interlinked with accountancy. However, I can do most accounting-related stuff, such as reviewing accounts, filling out returns and FCA docs, basic tax returns and reviews, etc. My relatives all know this and will occasionally ask me for help, which is no biggie as I'm usually down to assist. However, this one uncle has set up a business about 2 years ago now and acts like he's the CEO of an international corporation, when in reality it's a failing business that already cost his family their home. He messaged me a few days ago, and this is how the conversation went. U for uncle, M for me. U: Hey, I need to call in a favor. Ring me. M: Hello, uncle. I'm in meetings all day, so can't really call. What's up? U: I need your help with my company account. Ring me. M: What sort of help? U: Why are you not ringing me? Don't disrespect me. M: As I said, I'm in meetings, so I can't. What help do you need? U: You owe me a favor, and I need you to do my company accounts. The deadline's approaching. M: I can't do a full set of accounts for you. They take a while to do, especially with the complex nature and history of your business. Due to new IFRS 15 regulations, etc., his business is a nightmare to do accounts for. U: Don't lie to me. You owe me. Are you even an accountant? I'll tell your mother. M: How do I owe you? U: You broke my shed window and it cost me a lot to repair. At this point, I realized what he was talking about. Around 18 years ago, my uncle was buying the second-hand shed from my family home. He was carrying one of the windows when he absent-mindedly bumped into me whilst I was enjoying my Capri Sun and dropped the window. Anyway, back to the conversation. M: Are you seriously trying to call in a favor from 18 years ago for something that wasn't my fault? U: You cost me money. Now do this. I put your name down as my accountant. M: Legally, you cannot do that without my signature. What happened to your actual accountant? U: I couldn't trust him. His accountant was this old black dude who was super nice. His people are too dodgy. M: That's racist and dumb. You're wasting my time. Pay me £300 and I'll do it for you. Generally, the amount he paid the previous accountant. U: B-turd, you keep disrespecting me. I'll phone your mother and father and we'll see how smart you act then. M: I'm not doing crap for free, and especially not for you the way you behaved. At this point, he spam calls me. I decide to answer at one point, and all I hear are swear words. A few minutes later, my mom rings me and asks why her brother is so upset, so I explain. She tells me to ignore him, and she'll deal with him. I thought it was over until he literally waited outside my office and grabbed me by the collar. Security restrained him within 2 seconds and called the police. This crap was whack. Sometimes I wonder what's going on inside people's head. I mean, how self-centered would you have to be to even think that threatening someone, be it a relative, was the best way to ask a favor of them? Also, seriously, his worst threat was, I'll tell your mom about it? He seems to have serious issues. I sure hope things won't escalate any further. And our second story. Entitled neighbor moves to country, declares war on my chickens. I live next door to an old yuppie who moved out here to the country from the city. His great obsession is keeping his lawn absolutely neat and tidy, and all of his ornamental trees pristine and his garden looking absolute picturesque. And I mean that he kept that place looking like the cover of a magazine. If he had the permits, he could have made that house into a bed and breakfast. Of course, the rest of the people around our area didn't give a crap. The rest of us were, and still are, a bunch of Midwestern hicks. Yeah, we may have mowed our lawn once a week or so, but that was about it. Being a bunch of hicks, my family had some chickens in our pasture that bordered the yuppie's yard. They were a good bunch of hens, never got in trouble, stayed in their pasture, said no to drugs, the works. But the yuppie and his wife hated them. For the first 3 months, they would complain about our rooster crowing at all hours of the night and day, even though roosters only crow during the day, and more importantly, We didn't even have a rooster. To try and make amends for doing nothing wrong at all, we gave them a dozen eggs for free. Well, a week passed, and the yuppie's wife tells us that she used 2 of the eggs and then threw the rest away. I ask why. Those were perfectly fresh and clean eggs. Hell, a few of them were still warm from the hen when I collected them. She said it was because the organically raised yolks made her white cake yellow, so she threw away all the eggs and told us that she didn't want any more eggs from us ever again. Okay, she was a bee. But we weren't mad. Yet. A few weeks later, the yuppie calls us and tells us that one of our hens is destroying his yard. I look out the window and see that hen pecking at a few blades of grass behind his shed, doing absolutely no harm to anything. So I go grab her and put her back with the other hens, but she escapes again a few days later, and the yuppie calls us again, this time furious. After enduring his ire, I go get the hen, put her back with the others, and patch up the fence that the yuppie destroyed months before with his lawnmower. A few days after that, the yuppie calls a third time to report the same thing, but this time he has demands. He orders me to kill that chicken or else he'll do it himself and then call the cops on me. So I grabbed the hen from his yard, and I was hounded for days by the yuppie until I put her down and presented him with the corpse. By that time, he'd gained notoriety in our area as being an a-hole. Ironically, whenever their nieces and nephews and grandkids would visit their farm, as they called it, for no good reason, the kids would all want to see the chickens, and the yuppie would gladly oblige since they were such good friends with the neighbors. I clipped all the wings on all my birds and modified the fence to where nothing larger than a mouse could get through. For a while, all is well. I buried my hens, sold some eggs, and actually made a little bit of profit from the organic egg business. But a month later, the yuppie catches me doing maintenance on the fence. Here we go again. He's furious, screaming at me about how my chickens have been at it again, sneaking over the fence at night and raiding his garden, eating all of his tomatoes and tearing up all of his herbs. First off, I tell him, chickens don't move at night. They're not nocturnal. They roost in the nearest tree or coop as soon as the sun starts setting. Second, chickens hate acidic food like tomatoes. They can't stand it. I tell him that he probably has a turtle or an opossum in his garden. Then I hear from the yuppie's wife, who says that they haven't been able to can a single jar of salsa because of my chickens. Salsa? Are you effing kidding me? You moved out to the country so you can make your own salsa like a dude, and you're PO'd at your neighbors because you can't keep out the wildlife? My dad eventually walks over, and I relay the story so far. After the two of us are done laughing, the yuppie storms off to his house. The next day, we see the yuppie placing a brand new animal trap on the edge of his garden, baited with a tomato. And then he proves to us that he's a member of the Back Crap Crazy Club by pulling out a brand new rifle with the price tag still on it and patrolling the fence like he was going to catch one of our birds in the act. Oh, God, you don't know how badly my family wanted to build a man-sized live trap on the edge of our property and bait it with a plush chicken. He kept that up for a few days, then quit out of frustration after some of our other neighbors called the cops on him and his live trap kept catching nothing but rabbits, turtles, and possums. Hasn't spoken to us since. The scary part is that folks across the street from us say that he wants to form a neighborhood watch association and be the captain. Imagine being so obsessed with your pristine, picture-perfect yard that you start accusing your neighbor's chickens of conducting midnight salsa raids. Seriously, midnight salsa raids. This guy moves to the countryside, apparently clueless that animals exist in nature, and wages a personal vendetta against a bunch of innocent hens. And our last story. Party in my pool without asking? All right. When Dad and I put our signatures on the purchase contract, it felt as if the paper itself radiated warmth. I could never have carried the mortgage alone, but Dad co-signed and covered half the down payment, and the bank instantly softened the terms. The new house in a quiet Florida suburb came with a cozy cypress-lined yard and a small pool, and I naively believed I'd finally find peace after years of high-rise clamor. Dad and I run a family outfit called 24/7 Tow and Rescue. Truckers break down at 2 p.m. and 11 at night, so graveyard shifts are our norm. I rotate between dispatch and road calls, yanking a pickup from a ditch, delivering a battery, towing an SUV. I roll back into town at dawn, just as the neighbors hit the coffee maker button. That's when the silence smells the sweetest. A few days later, I was painting the fence when a bright red Porsche Cabriolet eased to a stop. The door swung open and out stepped a woman of about 30 in a designer suit and sunglasses. She gave me a superior once-over and barked, "So are you the new renter, kid?" When I said I was the new owner, she sneered, "Yeah, sure," then introduced herself as Karen, the HOA's compliance chairwoman. Without blinking, she waved at my pool. "Great, you're finally fixing this dump. The last tightwad should have just rented it out, or better yet, bulldozed it. Ha!" With that, she roared off, leaving perfume in the air and a bad taste in my mouth. I just stood there, jaw hanging. Next morning, a note appeared on my windowsill. Per HOA rules, the lawn must be mowed 3 times a week. Problem is, my house isn't legally in the HOA at all, yet the notes kept coming. Forbidden patio furniture, a lounge chair color out of harmony. By day, Karen would stop passers-by to say I was too young to own a home and was surely a crafty renter dodging rules. After an especially brutal night shift, I came home to raucous laughter beyond the fence. Karen and 3 friends were sprawled on my lounger sipping martinis while Her Majesty splashed around like it was her private resort. "My, what are you doing here?" Got a breezy answer. The owner, meaning me, had verbally deeded the pool to the HOA, so it was now common property. I nearly exploded, but was too exhausted to fight. I started the coffee maker. By the time I returned, they were gone. Enough was enough. A quick dive into the city records produced the cadastral map. My lot is marked outside HOA. But shoving paperwork under Karen's nose felt dull. On Reddit, I discovered pool prank dye, a harmless powder that leaves the water clear, but an hour after skin contact develops a deep indigo stain that lasts up to 2 days. Perfect. Finally, 7 a.m., the street still asleep. I sprinkled a few grams along the pool edge and stirred well. Then I headed to a call. A semi had skidded off I-8 and needed winching. Long day. I got back after 9. A Porsche and 2 Minis clogged the curb. Music thumped behind my fence. The pool water looked a shade bluer, but no one cared. I said hello and showed Karen the cadastral printout. She raised her glass. "Paperwork? Verbal trumps that. Relax, kid." Then dove in. I smiled. Facts will speak for themselves. Killed the speaker and went inside. An hour later, the first scream split the air. Karen's friends stared at their arms, shoulders, faces, turning the color of midnight. Karen herself, bright cobalt, bolted from the pool, leaving blue footprints on the tiles, wrapped in a towel, and nearly sobbed as she fled to her Porsche. The martini glasses are still in my yard. She didn't show her face for 2 days. The dye's harmless and fades on its own, but 48 hours feel eternal when you look like an Avatar extra. A 50-something neighbor later confided that Karen is the disowned daughter of wealthy parents, kicked out after cheating on her husband. She rents a tiny unit in a 4-plex, but drives the Porsche she kept and pretends she's rich. Well, let her play heiress somewhere else, not in my yard. The house may be old, but I've got the skills to whip it into shape. This is a great neighborhood. Hope I'm not too awful a storyteller and you found all this entertaining. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.